Hi everyone, welcome back to History San Diego. I'm George Farrar. Previously on History San Diego, I profiled the explorations of San Diego Bay by Juan Rodriguez Cabrillo and Sebastian Vizcaino, described their encounters with and profiled the Native Americans, the Cumye. We learned about the 1769 conquest, the construction of the first mission in the San Diego area, Mission San Diego de Acá, and the attempted failed uprisings against the Spanish that happened. We learned about the Anza expedition and what was going on in North America in the years before the American Revolution. Let's look at what was going on now at the mission and the Presidio after the 1775 attempted uprising up to the 1790s. I have looked at some information from the San Diego History Center, from their website, and I was intrigued by an article by Dr. Iris H.W. Engstrand. So I want to talk a little bit about that article and then read to you a direct quote from this article about what was going on during these critical times in San Diego's history. So from September to November of 1778, Junipero Serra returned to San Diego to confirm the baptism of approximately 600 Native Americans. It was part of a major victory lap he was doing as Catholicism spread in the area as a result of the partnership between the Spanish Empire and the Catholic Church that we've been talking about. He would continue to work to resolve problems on the missions between the mission and the priests and the other people. But he could only do the sacrament for a defined period of time. It was an honor for him to do this confirmation ceremony. He was doing it throughout what we know of today as California. He was walking a lot. He had a bad leg. He was really trying to, I think, realize and be recognized for his legacy and doing the work of which he had been doing a lot of for many, many years, even before arriving in San Diego in 1769. And so he was constantly traveling back and forth. He was building up missions, what we would know of as the California mission system. By September of 1783, he had returned to San Diego one last time to do some more confirmations. By 1784, over 5,000 people throughout what we know of today as California had been confirmed. He died in August of 1784. I want to talk about Junipero Serra a little bit more because he has been a constant figure throughout San Diego history from what we would know of as the conquest in 1769 through to 1783, essentially, dying in 1784. He should be recognized for his efforts later on in his life to sort out the problems that were happening at the missions. And so I think that should be recognized. However, there was, as one would expect in a religious system, especially at that time, there was very much a paternalistic view of the world, that these people were essentially, for lack of a better phrase, guiding children. And it, of course, in a sort of paternalistic father-child relationship, as they seemed that the military and the Catholic Church had basically instituted, there would be conflict, and we've talked about those conflicts and those issues. But despite all that, we should recognize the fact that the Catholicism and what was going on was essentially in San Diego and in the California area to stay. And that, I think, should be, if it's one thing we get from our first season, is understanding that year after year, things became more entrenched and things in some ways normalized under a new system. I now want to read directly from this article by Dr. Iris H.W. Engstrand on the San Diego History.org page, Sarah's San Diego. The Royal Presidio of San Diego continued to function on the hill overlooking the harbor throughout the Spanish and early Mexican periods. In 1790, it housed 190 persons, of whom 96 were adults. A school was conducted within the Presidio walls for the children, and the fortress resembled a small community. The defense of San Diego was bolstered by the building of Fort Guijarros, or San Joaquin, on today's Ballast Point in 1797. Yet security of the port was never tight. Jurisdiction of the Presidio extended as far as Mission San Gabriel to the north until the founding of Santa Barbara Presidio in 1782. This was a powerful Presidio going into the 1790s. And from the National Park Service, there is a description, and I'll go ahead and provide that to you as well. In 1778, the rudimentary wooden stockade began to be replaced by stronger adobe buildings. By 1795, major additions to the Presidio were constructed, including an esplanade, powder magazine, flagpole, and several adobe barracks to house an increase in soldiers living at the site. Fort Guijarros, a major armed battery with 10 additional cannon, was constructed in 1797, and the height of the Presidio's era of power began. So we see San Diego always, of course, had, based on San Diego Bay and what we talked about in the past, our prior shows, always had that strategic advantage, but with the force of arms, it became even more strategically important. And we'll talk about that strategic importance because in the next 30 years, after we get through the 1790s, there's going to be some radical changes that are going to happen. But let's first start, when we start to talk about this, what I would call almost a transition period to another, I would almost say another way of life. We want to, of course, recognize the elephant in the room, and that is, it's the 1770s, 1780s, 1790s. All of this that I just talked with you about is happening as on the east coast of North America, a new nation forged from evolution with Britain was being born, emerging from the former 13 British colonies along the eastern seaboard. And the 1783 Treaty of Paris laid out the resolution, at least for the time being, as to the United States of America's existence. So we have a new nation born, the United States of America, and amazing things are going to happen very rapidly. And it's going to have great impact on, of course, the West Coast, and certainly San Diego. And I'm going to be very excited to be bringing that to you in future seasons of the series. On April 30th, 1789, the first President of the United States, under the constitutional government, is sworn in New York City, George Washington. And with this new Constitution, with a president, a Congress, a Supreme Court, and various other institutions, for example, the post office, the military, tax collectors. All of this is going to create an amazing dynamic, and there will be a great amount of push for growth. And we're going to be talking extensively in Season 2 about this growth that's coming towards the West Coast year after year after year. I hope that you've enjoyed our show. In May 2022, I am scheduling the season finale of History San Diego, and I'll be going on our first field trip. It will be an on-location filming at Balboa Park. And I would like to encourage you to please, if you haven't already done so, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check us out at History San Diego on Facebook. I eventually would like to do some history vignettes on TikTok, where I already have a presence, a show called Exploring with George. And so it's been really amazing to be able to present this material to you, these amazing images and maps. I look forward to our coming seasons here on History San Diego, and I want to be able to do more to eventually involve you, the viewer, in some different things. And so the sky's the limit with this series. There's a lot I can do. And I want to thank you for watching, and take it easy. See you later.